Hi guys, I am here with a true story. John Greenleaf Whittier, for righteous sake, that is the quote before this one. God's ways seem dark, but soon or late they touch the shining hills of day. And this story is called Love in the Light. Eleanor Bickenhauser was a small-town girl from Bedford, Indiana, when after a whirlwind courtship in 1958, she married William J. Jerry Westfall, then a first lieutenant in the Army. Within a year, Jerry was assigned to the 503rd Aviation Company of the 3rd Armored Division in Germany. Eleanor said goodbye to her family and friends and prepared for adventure on the other side of the world. Hanau was an obscure town known only, Eleanor says, as the birthplace of the Grimm brothers, the authors who wrote fairy tales. But during the first year, Eleanor found her new life fascinating. Not was she as lonely as she had expected to be. Military people have a special bond, she explains. We become one another's families. The Westfalls developed an especially strong friendship with Manny and Connie Guerrero, a warm, welcoming couple who shared practical information, home-cooked meals, and occasional custody of their small sons. When Eleanor became pregnant, Manny was as excited as he could be. He was becoming a father again. I'll bet it's a girl, he told Eleanor and Jerry more than once. However, he was never to know. In August 1961, Captain Guerrero accidentally flew his helicopter into a communications line and it exploded. He was killed instantly. Eleanor grieved deeply. She had known that such maneuvers were dangerous, but the death of one so young and so close was difficult to handle. There were other changes as well, she recalls. Connie packed up her little boys and went home to the United States. When we lost him, we lost her and the children too. And with the erection of the Berlin Wall, military tensions increased. When winter arrived, a bleak, dreary season when the sun was barely up at 9 a.m. and set again around 3 p.m. In December, Eleanor gave birth to baby Nancy, setting off a fresh wave of sorrow despite the joy. Oh, why couldn't the Guerreros still be here to share in this special time? Nor could Jerry console her. A few days after Nancy's birth, he was assigned to field maneuvers and was gone for almost 4 months. Eleanor was left to learn about parenthood alone. Because winter in Germany was so long and depressing, the officers' wife clubs sponsored regular activities to keep women's spirits up. One of these was a hat-making class. Hats were popular due to First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy's affection for them, and Mia, a woman who ran a millinery store in the nearby town of Bad Vilbel, came each week to teach the wives how to make their own. Since Mia had no car, someone always brought her and took her back, a road trip distance of some 27 miles. One morning, Eleanor received a call from the assigned driver who couldn't pick Mia up because her children were sick. Could Eleanor please take her place? Eleanor had been half-hearted about attending the class, but since she had a sitter for the baby, she agreed. Perhaps the drive would lift her spirits. It did not. I decided to take the back road route, which was surrounded by forests, rather than the Autobahn, because I thought it would be quicker, she says. but the sun hadn't yet risen, and the skies were dark, heralding another gray, chilly day. The trees, stretching their leafless arms, seemed cheerless and brooding, and were growing right up to the road on both sides. As the kilometers sped past, Eleanor began to feel oppressed. Her thoughts replayed the recent tragic event, and sorrow again enveloped her like a blanket. Was there no end to it? Abruptly, Eleanor came up to a little rise in the road. As she crossed over the hill, she started down. She blinked. Was she seeing things? No, this was real. The entire landscape that lay ahead had been mysteriously transformed. Rather than growing close to the highway, the trees here on both sides of the road were set farther back, but Eleanor she could still see them clearly, and despite the winter day, they were covered with leaves. What's more, the leaves seemed golden rather than green. Astonished, Eleanor pulled over and stopped. I began to realize that there was a warm, glowing presence over the entire scene. Despite the day's darkness, she says, it was as if a marvelous heavenly light was illuminating all the leaves on the trees. Then the light went through me, not as a force, but more like a breeze. I felt charged with peace and energy, blessed and exalted and transformed all at the same time. For a few dazzling moments, Eleanor basked in the majestic display. Then I felt compelled to share it with someone, she says. I raced on toward Bad Wiebel to pick up Mia. Perhaps the hat lady would know something about this magical place, why leaves bloomed here in winter, where the glorious light was coming from. But Mia only looked in bewilderment at the excited army wife, and as the two women sped back to the same road, Eleanor's bafflement grew. Of course the clearing would be there. It had to be. But we passed nothing remotely resembling it, Eleanor says. For the entire distance back to the base, the dark leafless trees grew up to the very edge of the road, nor despite many subsequent trips on the road did she or anyone else ever come across that enchanting scene again. But Eleanor believes she received the message it sent. To me, the golden light was reassurance from heaven. God sent it to let me know that despite the difficult time I was experiencing and more losses that lay ahead, He was there. And not only for me, but for all of us, in everything, even the most heartbreaking moments. I felt He was saying, Eleanor, get in gear. Stop grieving now because everything is fine. And I did. A magical, marvelous vision. Eleanor never found an explanation for it, nor has she ever needed one. Some things should remain mysterious. But she knew she wasn't seeing things. She didn't try to explain it away. She knew she seen it, and she knew it existed. She knew she saw what she saw. She knew she wasn't crazy. Good night, guys.